Why did you refuse to walk your daughter down the aisle on her wedding day? I was washing dishes when Rachel appeared in the kitchen doorway, mascara streaking down her 12-year-old face. Her biological father had just no-showed her school play again, third time this year. She collapsed against my chest, sobbing so hard her whole body shook. I'd been dating her mother Danielle for 2 years, but this was the moment everything changed. Rachel pulled back and looked me straight in the eyes, speaking words that would define the next decade of my life. I want you to be my real dad. Will you adopt me? My throat tightened as I realized this wasn't just a broken child seeking comfort. She'd been weighing this for months. She grabbed my hands, her voice steady despite the tears. When I get married someday, I want you to walk me down the aisle. You're my real dad. The weight of that promise settled into my chest like an anchor. I pulled her close and whispered yes. The adoption went through 6 months later, and Rachel took my last name, telling everyone who'd listen that she finally had a forever dad. For 11 years, I was her father in every way that mattered. Soccer games where she'd scan the crowd until she found my face, teaching her to drive in the high school parking lot, gripping the door handle as she took turns too fast, the pride burning in my chest when Columbia said yes, followed by writing that first tuition check for $62,000 without flinching, because that's what fathers do. She never called me stepdad, always just dad. When her boyfriend proposed last year, I was her first call. We joked about father-daughter dance moves I'd been secretly practicing since she was 13. Life felt complete until Dave reappeared. Her biological father sent a Facebook message 6 months before the wedding. He was clean now, working on himself, wanting to make amends. Rachel agreed to one coffee for closure, but one coffee became weekly dinners. Her Instagram filled with photos of them together, captions about second chances and healing journeys. Each post felt like a small betrayal, but I swallowed my unease because she was an adult making her own choices. Wedding planning consumed our house like a fever, with every vendor payment coming from my accounts. $8,000 for the venue, $15,000 for catering, $5,000 for flowers. When guest lists were discussed, I submitted only 10 names since it was Rachel's day, and whatever made her happy mattered most. Finding the invitation draft gutted me completely. My name wasn't on it. Dave was listed as father of the bride. Danielle insisted it was just traditional wording, that I knew my place in Rachel's heart. But standing in the kitchen, staring at that cream-colored cardstock, I felt myself disappearing from my daughter's life. The final blow came at Sunday dinner with Rachel's future in-laws. She clinked her glass for attention, radiating joy as she announced that her biological father would be walking her down the aisle. She needed to give him this chance to be her dad. The room erupted in supportive murmurs, while Danielle squeezed Rachel's hand, talking about healing and forgiveness. I sat frozen, watching my family celebrate as if I'd already been erased. 11 years of showing up, being there, choosing her every single day, and it all meant nothing because he was her blood, and I was just the man who raised her. My hands shook as I set down my fork and walked out. Nobody followed. In the garage, her old bike still hung on the wall, the one I'd spent hours running behind, promising I wouldn't let go. Below it sat boxes of report cards and Father's Day cards signed, "To the best dad." I stared at these artifacts of a relationship I'd thought was unbreakable, realizing that DNA apparently trumped everything. That night I made my decision. I transferred money from our accounts, canceled the vendor checks, and packed while they slept. My note was brief. I kept my promise. I was her dad when she needed one. Now that she'd made clear who her real father was, he could pay for the wedding. The calls started immediately with 47 from Danielle, and novels of texts from Rachel about overreacting, about not meaning to hurt me, about how I'd always be important. I didn't respond. She'd made her choice in front of everyone who mattered. The messages tapered off after a few weeks, and I thought that was the end until the morning of the wedding when my phone exploded. Rachel's voicemail was hysterical, barely comprehensible through sobs. Dave hadn't shown up, just sent a text saying something came up. She begged me to come, reminded me of my promise when she was 12, said she needed her dad. I texted back once. "I already gave you away." To Dave, remember? Danielle's messages turned vicious, asking how I could abandon my daughter in her moment of need, but she wasn't my daughter anymore. I was just the man who'd paid for her life while she waited for her real dad to return. I heard later that her uncle walked her down the aisle and she cried through the ceremony. Dave never contacted her again after destroying her wedding day, but by then I was living in another city, far enough away that no one could drop by to make me reconsider. Sometimes I wonder if Rachel remembers that 12-year-old girl who begged me to adopt her, who promised I'd walk her down the aisle. I kept every promise I made to her. She's the one who broke hers.